back to the Five Pods of Xmas. I'm your digital media editor, Warren Fry, and I have with me a daily editor for the Daily Commercial News and the Journal of Commerce, Lindsey Cole. Lindsey, what are your big stories of the year?
Well, thanks very much, Warren, for hosting these 5 pods of Xmas. It certainly is a festive time of year, isn't it? So I
Hmm.
appreciate that. Well, having looked at all of the content that was produced in 2021 from yourself and Russell and Dawn and Ange, I have to say it was obviously, as usual, a very busy year. I think you sometimes I think we were all hoping in some ways that the news spectrum would slow down on the pandemic front.
Hmm.
It did not do that.
Nope.
It certainly continued to progress and impact the industry in a number of ways. I know, I think Angela touched on it as well, but from my perspective, seeing it on both fronts, you know, there's a number of spectrums that are being examined within this industry when it comes to the pandemic, and
Hmm.
probably more to come. Obviously, the vaccination policies, when it came to work sites, obviously starting off with the testing that was occurring at sites, and then progressing into, checking for vaccination statuses and whatnot. That that's a big difference compared to what 2 years ago now, where you would
Hmm.
just go to site and you wouldn't even have to worry about a questionnaire or screening. So I think we have to take a look at the evolution of safety on site as it relates to the pandemic and in a number of other facets. So from my perspective, obviously that's a big one for 2021. I
Hmm.
think what merging into that and going, I was really impressed with the industry this year with the number of initiatives that have been unveiled when it comes to mental health, substance use. Again, Angela, I know touched on this, and our
Hmm.
series was, I think, a shining example of what the industry is doing, um, and just how many people are being touched by it. So I was very impressed with that. Aspect of things. It's often referred to as the other pandemic, and it's been around a lot longer than this current COVID-19
Hmm.
pandemic.
Yes, it has.
So it's in some ways it's sad that a pandemic brought it to light more because we're all going through a lot of stresses and going, um, you know, through our own things. But at the same
Hmm.
point, it was needed in this industry to have more mental health resources and to have experts, on the front lines. Essentially, like in our series, we had some wonderful sources speaking about their own personal experiences. And I think that's so relatable because there's this really unfortunate stigma within the industry that, you can't talk about your problems and you can't
Hmm.
admit you have one. So to have people on our, in the videos that you edited and put together and Angela conducted, as well as through the coverage that Don and Russ did, it was just really nice to see the personal stories. I'm the type of person that can really relate to those kind of things, and I know a lot of other people can too. So, obviously, on that side of the spectrum, those are two major themes that came out in 2021 in my mind. What I
Hmm.
think also came out a little bit on a different um, trajectory, if you will, is something that I'm noticing more and more and more in our coverage, which is the push for retrofits, climate change initiatives. Uh, you know, Carbon emissions, you name it. It's going to be a real game changer in the next couple years, if not actually sooner, when it comes to trying to innovate around that and really ultimately change how construction goes about doing its business. So we're going to see a lot of different, even whether it be procurement methods, technologies being used, you name it, that are going to essentially change the face of construction in order to accommodate new climate rules and regulations that could be coming out. And there's a lot to be said for that on both sides of the spectrum. So we've done, a number of stories that are saying, okay, these retrofits are needed, these retrofits have to happen, or, we have to change to more different types of renewables, you name it. But, the construction industry isn't always the quickest to adapt.
Hmm.
and there's also other challenges. So I think there's going to have to be some compromises met along the way between government, industry, and the like. So that's kind of an underlying tone that I saw in a lot of our coverage for 2021.
Hmm.
So
And I guess out here, where there's been a giant wake up call in the last month,
yeah.
that'll certainly make people have to stand back and think about how they're going to approach whatever new projects they do.
Well, this is it. And, obviously BC unfortunately is the shining example right now
Yeah.
of
Yay.
there were warnings and by
Mhm.
a lot of experts, both in the industry even, as well as, a little bit more on the outer spectrums of that. And eh, unfortunately, those warnings may not necessarily went unheeded, but certainly was a bit late. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
your province that you're in right now is going to be almost a case study going forward, for
Not
lack of
just
a
all,
better
it
term.
will be a case study, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's certainly interesting times in 2021. So for me, those were some of the major highlights. Obviously, I would be remiss not to mention safety on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to incidents on site and trying
Mhm.
to get the safety spectrum a little bit more up and up. Taking a look just within the last, well, we're in December now, and unfortunately in Ontario, last December was an extremely grim month in
Right, yes.
2020. Yeah, we had a number of fatalities within the span of a week.
Mhm.
Uh, so and unfortunately, this year as well in BC, obviously, there was the multiple fatality crane incident that occurred in Kelowna. So we're still seeing some fairly grim incidents happening in construction. And while I think there's a number of great initiatives that are underway and a lot of messages that are being reiterated, obviously, there's still some more work to be done. Um,
Mhm.
so I think that going forward into 2022, you're going to see we have a new chief prevention officer in Ontario. We have a lot of investigations underway with, regarding those 2020 incidents that happened that we're still waiting for results on. In BC, there's obviously more investigations happening. So I'm going to be turning a keen eye to probably safety in 2022 to see
Mm.
what comes about in our coverage and where maybe some lessons learned can be further applied. So yeah,
Okay.
those were
And any other big deal stories you think are coming our way, or besides COVID, which is, I guarantee, going to be a thing continuing in 2022?
uh I just think innovation is probably still going to be something on the forefront. I
Mhm.
foresee that continuing to be a theme, and I actually look forward to seeing what the industry embraces and comes up with next. So that would probably be one. And I would be, again, I have to mention that I'm incredibly proud of you guys as the team because you came
Aw,
together with.
thanks.
Yeah, I know. Ah, shucks. See how good we all feel at the holidays. But yeah,
Yeah.
everybody did a fantastic job covering some tough stories as well as pulling together what I think is a showcase series. So kudos to you.
Thanks. I can't think of a better place to end this.
I know.